Hello, everyone. Welcome to New Gen Politics. So Benjamin Netanyahu now says that he wants the Israeli military to occupy all of Gaza in order to root out Hamas and liberate the people of Gaza. Now, no one's buying this. No one thinks this is the real intentions of Netanyahu, the man who has repeatedly wanted to displace the Palestinians, just totally remove them from the area. Now we're supposed to believe he truly cares about liberating them. And this just invokes the meme, oh, we're finally free. I wouldn't say free, more like under new management. And that's really what this will be, is they'll start off saying, well, we don't want to run it. We want to be there. We want to kick out Hamas. We want to root it out, get our hostages back. And then we're going to transition it over and we're going to part with it. And it's like Israel doesn't part with land they take. They take it and they keep it. And the belief that even if you believe right now that's their true intentions, maybe it is, but in a year from now, in 2 years from now, whenever, however long it takes to end the job, as they say, will they actually give it back, or will the goalposts have shifted again to the point where they'll say, well, it would be better if it was run by Israel and we didn't give them their own government and, we're just going to take all the land and kick them out. That's probably where we're headed. Now, a lot of the countries around the world are already putting immense pressure on Israel to end this war. They're not happy with Israel's actions. This is going a step even further than they were before, where they're just, blatantly throwing out the idea of confiscating all Gazan land and then kicking them out. They've said they wanted to do that. This process is making it seem like it's a softer touch, right? Well, we're just going to go in there. We're actually going to, it's for their benefit. We're going to help them. We're going to liberate them. They're just going to take the land and kick them out. End of the story. Because they say, well, we'll transfer it over once it's safe. But, they'll keep finding reasons that it's not safe. It's not safe to hand the land back to them. It's safer if Israel, takes control of it for themselves and for the Palestinians, of course, because Israel is known to be so benevolent. So that's how they'll walk it back, and they'll just keep kind of pushing the goalposts, and eventually they'll just kick them all out and say, good luck, go somewhere else. Or worse, they just, end up getting killed, all of them. Whether the famine or the missiles or whatever takes them out, they could just end up genociding the entire population, literally. They've already lost like 40,000 people, which is, incredibly inhumane. There's tons of allegations about Israel firing on the civilians, especially around the posts where they provide food and water. A lot of governments around the world, especially European countries, are questioning this. Canada, the United Kingdom, and France all just said that they are going to recognize Palestine as a state pretty soon, I believe in September, in front of the United Nations. But unless certain conditions are met and the talks happen and whatnot. But all this pressure is coming down on Israel, and this is just going to make it worse because they see it, the curtain closing, right? The window is closing for their ability to operate without basically UN intervention or like military intervention from other countries coming in and telling Israel to stop. So they got to get in there and finish the job, as they say. And by finish it, they probably mean finish everyone off before the countries around the world stop them. Now, luckily for Israel, they do have a very strong defensive line against the rest of the world, which is the United States, who seems to be willing to do whatever they say, whenever they say it. And we will probably try to put as much pressure on these other countries as possible. You've already seen this week, Trump was talking about Canada and saying that if Canada wants to recognize Israel as a state, we're not going to have a trade deal. He also wanted to withhold U.S. aid to Americans for disaster relief if they boycott Israel. Doesn't make any sense at all, but it just goes to show we'll do anything for Israel, and we would probably encourage this behavior of Israel. I think Trump's supposed to meet with Netanyahu soon, but he's just going to give him the green light. And even if it's like, okay, well, only do part of it, or only, but don't go full bore yet. Go start with this occupation and then slowly move the goalposts. Trump seems more than willing to, go along with it. That's really scary because the situation in Gaza is awful. And I understand that Hamas is still operating there. They are a terrorist organization. They are still attacking Israel. I understand Israel's argument for defending themselves. But the counter argument, the humanitarian argument, is this is not self-defense. This has gone way overboard. And the people who are affected by this are women, children, non-combatants, UN personnel, medical staff, people providing food and water, and the humanitarian disaster of the starvation, the dehydration, the exposure. All of that stuff is affecting people who should not be affected by this. It's gone way overboard. And now Israel wants to do a move that moves even further down the line, moves the goalposts even further of total destruction of Gaza to now the total occupation and probably eventually the total removal of the Gazans. That is probably the end goal here. It's been explicitly stated by members of Netanyahu's cabinet that that's something they want to do. Will Trump allow that to happen? Probably. Even he was talking about turning Gaza into some sort of resort town. He was like, we'll temporarily move the people out and then we'll move them back once it's safe. It'll never be safe. They'll just never be able to come back. That's what we know. We know how these things work. This has happened all throughout human history. It's a pretty natural tactic, right? You're just moving the goalposts. And despite other countries' efforts to end this, the America's strength is still superior, and we will still try to block any intervention. So we'll just have to see how this situation pans out and the arguments from both sides. I think even a lot of Israelis are starting to get fed up with Netanyahu. That's been shown by he's probably going to be ousted soon. This sort of move that just makes the whole situation worse. It just makes them look like an occupier. It makes them look like all of their, quote unquote, unintentional actions that have happened, the civilian casualties and whatnot. It makes it look intentional. It makes it look like this was all planned out in advance, which it possibly could have been. There's a lot of people arguing that it was. And so this doesn't make them look good. That doesn't help the case that, they're really trying to do what's best for the Palestinians. I don't think people really believe that. So we'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see how Trump responds to Netanyahu. We'll have to see how other countries respond to this. And if we're going to see any end to the humanitarian crisis over there. But I think this will just make things even worse. So that's my thoughts on this. If you made it all the way through the video, I appreciate it. If you like the content, like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you for watching.